at church tonight and back to another project. As happens often in outreach, you get somewhere and something's not working right. Something hasn't been maintained, something breaks, or things you just have to be around when things wear out. Just before I went to church tonight, was going to get things ready for showers and things like that, and found out I had a bad pump here in our pastor's apartment. Here in Mexico, like much of the world, you have to get your water from the city and store it in a tank down low and pump it up on the roof for your pressure to get to your showers. So the reason I call this video when the well runs dry is because, as I learned from my first outreach, this is what YWAMers typically always think when there's no water in the morning. The well went dry. I did it on my first outreach and got up one morning for a shower and thought the well was dry, but it actually is the tank up on the roof was empty, and that's why I didn't have any water and didn't know how to fill that. So you have to pump that water from the well and get it up there in that situation. But then I was in a class in what's called School of Evangelism with Youth with a Mission, and one of our leaders was talking about this situation, and he said, you know, every time I go out on outreach, I always go to a situation where we don't have water, and the crazy YWAMers just think the well went dry. So I was one of those that he was talking about. Anyway, used to be here in this town, it was very hard to get equipment to fix things. You had to drive to some other towns. No way I could do that before church, but there's a new hardware store in town tonight, so I ran over to it before service to see if I could get the pump before they closed, and they had an exact match, just a different color. So I've already taken out the old pump and gotten it ready to start installing, and got the new one right here. The reason I'm sharing this with you is this is just a typical adventure on outreach. If you want things to work, sometimes you just got to fix it. In this situation, in this room that we stay in, we came here and the walls are all covered in mildew. It's just, we're still trying to get that out. It's quite a mess, but there's just so much humidity. I had left tools from driving down here in the summer, and they've kind of oxidized a little bit like that. And from that, so one thing that happens with these pumps, if you're not running them, and a lot of times nobody's staying in this room and they don't use it and they don't exercise it and not constantly turning it, when it's sitting in that kind of humidity, the pump just gets destroyed from all of that. So that's what's happened in this case. I tried to get it spinning, but could not. So picked up a new one, and I'm going to start putting that together right now, and hopefully we'll have water really quickly. It's actually a pretty simple job. I've already started breaking things loose. And I went ahead and tucked in my shirt before I was doing this, so that while I'm streaming this, we'll make sure we don't have any kind of the plumber stuff going on, plumber images that everybody jokes about when I start putting this thing together. It was nice that whoever put this pump in. A lot of times they put these pumps in, they just put them together with PVC cement, and they don't use unions a lot of times. Then you got to cut it apart, and it just takes forever. So somebody was actually thinking when they did this and made the job very simple for me. Whereas most of the time I don't find it like this, and unfortunately a lot of times I don't go ahead and add the unions to fix it in. I just buy pipe, cut it apart, and get it going. In Mexico, PVC is just really cheap, but when you start buying fittings like unions and stuff like that, it runs up your cost. So a lot of times I also have just been guilty of that and not spending the extra money to get myself some unions and make it easy for when things wear out. For you Minnesotans out there, and maybe even a lot of regions of Texas, you can't do water this way because obviously it's going to get frozen. But here, you're able to store that water up on the roof when you need it. And this one has not been automated yet, but I'm going to do that in the next couple of days. You can set up some floats in the tank, so the floats know when the lower tank is empty and when the upper tank is full, and turns it off or won't allow the pump to turn on if there's no water in your lower tank, so you don't burn it up. But I'm going to need to get that set up for my family so they don't have to really keep an eye on that. I'm going up on the roof a couple times a day just to, there's a ladder I've got outside, and just going up there and checking it, seeing if I need to add water, and add water when I need to. Although the city here has a problem with their water lines, and we're not getting water from the city to fill that lower tank. So we're having to fill it from a well, which is not real safe because the water's only a few feet in the ground. It's not it's not deep water, and it's a big open well. So I really don't like using that water for safety, but Rebecca and I will go and talk to the guy who's supposed to be in charge of that here in this town. And if we can't get him to take care of this for us, we'll talk to the more senior people in the capital. In Mexico, water is supplied by the federal government. So it's one organization throughout the whole country that takes care of that for you. But in so many smaller towns, they don't have good supervision of that. And kind of think the guy out here probably, he just doesn't know a lot about it. He hasn't been trained, but he's probably somebody that was willing and available to kind of do it. And a lot of people don't like to make noise if something's not working, or they're worried they could lose their job if they say too much to the bosses or something. And so they just keep things going that works, but things that are broken just stay broken. But Rebecca and I have found that a lot of times you can get past that and get things fixed. We had problems with electricity here when we were here in the summer that had been that way for a long time, and like 7 or 8 years. And here people talk about it amongst each other, but they don't go to the power company and talk to them. So Rebecca and I went out to the power company. I have a good fluke meter that I use to keep an eye on things. And Rebecca and I went to the power company and showed them photos of my meter. And they said right away, "Oh, that's terrible. We got to get out there today." They came out that day. Those guys were a little frustrated when they got out here because they probably get called out for some things that people don't know, and maybe something wrong inside their house, which there are some neighbors that helped fix that here. They were frustrated with the power company, but it wasn't the power company's problem. It was connections in their house that was the problem. And they see that a lot. So when these two guys came out in the bucket truck and we told them what's going on, they're like, "Well, I will look at it." And they were kind of in a bad mood. They got out and started checking things, and they saw the voltage. We were getting like 89 volts on one line and 79 volts on another line, and found there were some bad parts on the transformer. And they told us, "We're going to fix that today. You're right. It's bad. We're going to fix it for you." And so they turned around, talking to people out on the street, just outside this door right here, why those guys shut down the power and fixed the transformer. And they're like, "How'd you get them out here? How'd you get them out? You went and talked to them this morning and they came the same day?" I said, "Well, yeah, but we had to drive about 40 miles to the corporate office and talk to them about that. But that's the way you got to do things. If it's not getting fixed, you got to talk to the people that can fix it." And that's what happened. So I'm going to go outside and turn on the main water and see if I get water flow. Open up the water main on the tank that's got on the ground outside, and I'm going to see if this pump actually starts off when I turn on the breaker. And there we go. Tank should be full in a few minutes, and I can get the sweat off me in a nice running shower instead of having to carry buckets around. And the same for my wife, Rebecca. We won't have to worry about where the water is going to come from. Just want to share that with you. This is kind of a day in a missionary's life. You're out ministering to people, but then sometimes you're helping take care of the practical things in life. And I love doing both. I love being in worship with the people. And I also like helping them get things fixed. And that's going to be the life for a little while here in Mexico. Thank you for your time tonight. Bye.